27. Maven has betrayed me. No, he was never on my side at all. My eyes adjust, seeing bars through the dim light. The ceiling is low and heavy, like the underground air. I've never been here before, but I know it all the same. The bowl of bones, I whisper aloud, expecting no one to hear me. Instead, someone laughs. The darkness continues to lift, revealing more of the cell. A lumpy shape sits against the bars next to me, shifting with every peal of laughter. I was 4 years old the first time I came here, and Maven was barely 2. He hid behind his mother's skirts, afraid of the darkness and the empty cells. Cal chuckles, every word sharp as a knife. I guess he's not afraid of the dark anymore. No, he's not. I'm the shadow of the flame. I believed Maven when he said those words, when he told me how much he hated this world. Now I know it was all a trick, a masterful trick. Every word, every touch, every look was a lie, and I thought I was the liar. Instinctively, I reach out with my abilities, feeling for any pulse of electricity, something to give me a spark of energy. But there's nothing. Nothing but a blank, flat absence, a hollow sensation that makes me shiver. Is Arvin nearby? I wonder, remembering how he shut off my abilities, forcing me to watch as Maven and his mother destroyed their family. I can't feel a thing. It's the cells, Cal says dully. His hands draw shapes in the dirty floor. Flames. Made of silent stone. Don't ask me to explain it because I can't and I don't feel like trying. He looks up, eyes glaring through the darkness at the unending line of cells. I should be afraid, but I have nothing left to fear. The worst has already happened. Before the matches, back when we still had to execute our own, the bowl of bones hosted everything nightmares are made of. The great Greco, who used to tear men in half and eat their livers. The poison bride, she was an Animos of House Viper, and sent snakes into my great-great-uncle's bed on their wedding night. They say his blood turned to venom. He was bitten so many times. Cal lists them off, the criminals of his world. They sound like stories invented to make children behave. Now us. The traitor prince, they'll call me. He killed his father for the crown. He just couldn't wait. I can't help but add to the tale. The bitch made him do it. They'll gossip to each other. I can see it in my head, shouted on every street corner from every video screen. They'll blame me, the little lightning girl. I filled your thoughts with poison. I corrupted you. I made you do it. You almost did, he murmurs back. I almost chose you this morning. Was it just this morning? That cannot be true. I push myself up against the bars, leaning just inches away from Cal. They're going to kill us. Cal nods, laughing again. I've heard him laugh before, at me every time I tried to dance. But this sound is not the same. His warmth is gone, leaving nothing behind. The king will see to it. We will be executed. Execution? I'm not surprised, not in the least. How will they do it? I can barely remember the last execution. Only images remain, silver blood on sand, the roar of a crowd. And I remember the gallows at home, rope swinging in a harsh wind. Cal's shoulders tense. There are many ways. Together, one at a time, with swords or guns or abilities, or all three. He heaves a sigh, already resigned to his fate. They'll make it hurt. It will not be quick. Maybe I'll bleed all over the place. That'll give the rest of the world something to think about. The bleak thought makes me smile. When I die, I'll be planting my own red flag, splashing it across the sands of the massive arena. He won't be able to hide me then. Everyone will know what I really am. You think that will change anything? It must. Farley has the list. Farley will find the others. But Farley is dead. I can only hope she passed the message on to someone still alive. The others are still out there, and they must be found. They must carry on, because I no longer can. I think it won't, Cal continues, his voice filling the silence. I think he'll use it as an excuse. There will be more conscriptions, more laws, more labor camps. His mother will invent another marvelous lie, and the world will keep on turning, the same as before. No, never the same again. He'll look for more like me, I realize aloud. I've already fallen, I've already lost, I'm already dead. And this is the last nail in the coffin. My head drops into my hands, feeling my sharp, clever fingers curl into my hair. Cal shifts against the bars, his weight sending vibrations through the metal. What? There are others. Julian figured it out. He told me how to find them, and... My voice breaks, not wanting to continue. And I told him. I feel like screaming. He used me so perfectly. Through the bars, Cal turns to look at me. Even though his abilities are far away, suppressed by these wretched walls, an inferno rages in his eyes. How does it feel? He growls, almost nose to nose with me. How does it feel to be used, Mayor Barrow? Once I would have given anything to hear him say my real name, but now it stings like a burn. I thought I was using them both, Maven and Cal. How stupid I was. I'm sorry, I force out. I despise those words, but they're all I can give. I'm not Maven, Cal. I didn't do this to hurt you. I never wanted to hurt you. And softer, barely audible. It wasn't all a lie. His head thunks back against the bars, so loud it must hurt, but Cal doesn't seem to notice. Like me, he's lost the ability to feel pain or fear. Too much has happened. Do you think he'll kill my parents? My sister, my brothers. For once, I'm happy Shade is dead and out of Maven's reach. I feel surprising warmth bleed against me, settling into my shivering bones. Cal has moved again, leaning against the bars right behind me. His heat is gentle, natural, not driven by anger or ability. It's human. I can feel him breathing, his heart beating. It hammers like a drum as he finds the strength to lie to me. I think he has more important things to think about. I know he can feel me crying, my shoulders shaking with every sob, but he doesn't say anything. There are no words for this, but he stays right there, my last bit of warmth in a world turning to dust. I weep for them all. Farley, Tristan, Walsh, Will, Shade, Bree, Tramy, Issa, Mom, and Dad. Fighters, all of them. And Killorn. I couldn't save him, no matter how hard I tried. I can't even save myself. At least I have my earrings. The little specks, sharp in my skin, will stay with me until the end. I die with them, and they with me. We stay like that for what must be hours, though nothing changes to mark the passing time. I even doze off once, before a familiar voice makes me jerk awake. In another life, I might be jealous. Maven's words send shivers down my spine, and not in a good way. Cal jumps to his feet quicker than I thought possible, and throws himself at the bars, making the metal sing. But the bars hold firm, and Maven, cunning, disgusting, awful Maven, is just out of reach. To my delight, he still flinches away. Save your strength, brother, he says, teeth clicking together with every word. You will need it soon. Though he wears no crown, Maven already stands with the air of a terrible king. His dress uniform is crowded with new medals. They were his father's once. I'm surprised they aren't still covered in blood. He looks even paler than before, though the dark circles under his eyes are gone. Murder helps him sleep. Will it be you in the arena? Cal snarls through the bars, his hands tight on the iron. Will you do it yourself? Do you even have the nerve? I can't find the strength to stand. As much as I want to rush the bars, to tear away metal with my bare hands until the only thing I feel is Maven's throat, I can only watch. He laughs dully at his brother's words. We both know I could never beat you with ability, he says, throwing back Cal's own advice from so long ago. So I beat you with my head, dear brother. Once, he told me Cal hated to lose. Now I realize the one playing to win was always Maven. Every breath, every word was in service to this bloody victory. Cal growls low under his breath. Mavie, he says, but the nickname holds no love anymore. How could you do this to father? To me? To her? A murdered king, a traitorous prince. So much blood, he sneers, dancing at the edge of Cal's reach. They weep in the streets for our father. Or at least, they pretend to. He adds with a disinterested shrug. The foolish wolves wait for me to stumble, and the smart ones know I will not. House Samos, House Iral, they've been sharpening their claws for years, waiting for a weak king, a compassionate king. You know they drooled at the sight of you? Think about it, Cal. Decades from now, father would die slowly, peacefully, and you would ascend, married to Evangeline, a daughter of steel and knives. With her brother at your side, you wouldn't survive the coronation night. She would do what Mother did and supplant you with her own child. Don't tell me you did this to protect a dynasty. Cal scoffs, shaking his head. You did this for yourself. Again, Maven shrugs. He grins to himself with a pointed, cruel smile. Are you really so surprised? Poor Mavie, the second prince, the shadow of his brother's flame, a weak thing, a little thing, doomed to stand to the side and kneel. He shifts, prowling from Cal's cell to stand in front of mine. I can only stare at him from the ground, not trusting myself to move. He even smells cold. Betrothed to a girl with eyes for another, for the brother, the prince no one could ever ignore. His words take on a feral edge, heavy with a wild anger. But there is truth in them, a harsh truth I've tried so hard to forget. It makes my skin crawl. You took everything that should have been mine, Cal. Everything. Suddenly I'm standing, shaking violently, but still standing. He's lied to us for so long, but I cannot let him lie now. I was never yours, and you were never mine, Maven, I snarl. And not because of him, either. I thought you were perfect. I thought you were strong and brave and good. I thought you were better than him. Better than Cal. Those are words Maven thought no one would ever say. He flinches, and for a second, I can see the boy I used to know, a boy that doesn't exist. He reaches out a hand, grabbing at me between the bars. When his fingers close over the bare skin of my wrist, I feel nothing but repulsion. He holds me tight, like I'm some kind of lifeline. Something has snapped in him, revealing a desperate child, a pathetic, hopeless thing, trying to hold on to his favorite toy. I can save you. The words make my skin crawl. Your father loved you, Maven. You didn't see it, but he did. A lie. He loved you, and you killed him. The words come faster, spilling like blood from a vein. Your brother loved you, and you made him a murderer. I loved you. I trusted you. I needed you, and now I'm going to die for it. I am king. You will live if I want you to. I will make it so. You mean if you lie? One day your lies will strangle you, King Maven. My only regret is that I won't be alive to see it. And then it's my turn to grab him. I pull with all my strength, making him stumble against the bars. My knuckles connect with his cheek, and he yelps away like a kicked dog. I will never make the mistake of loving you ever again." To my dismay, he recovers quickly and smooths his hair. "So you choose him?" That's all this ever was. Jealousy, rivalry, all so shadow could defeat the flame. I have to throw my head back and laugh, feeling the eyes of the brothers on me. Cal betrayed me, and I betrayed him, and you betrayed us both in 1,000 different ways. The words are heavy as stone, but right, so right. I choose no one. For once, I feel like I control fire, and Maven has been burned by it. He stumbles back from my cell, somehow defeated by the little girl without her lightning, the prisoner in chains, the human before a god. "What will you tell them when I bleed?" I hiss after him. "The truth?" He laughs deep in his chest. The little boy disappears, replaced by the king killer again. The truth is what I make it. I could set this world on fire and call it rain. And some will believe. The fools. But others will not. Red and silver, high and low, some will see the truth. His voice becomes a snarl, his face a shadow of a beast. Anyone who knows that we hid you, anyone with even a hint of suspicion, will be dealt with. My mind buzzes, flying to everyone who knew something about me was strange. Maven beats me there, seeming to enjoy listing off the many deaths. Lady Blanos had to go, of course. Decapitation deals nicely with skin healers. She was an old crow, an annoyance, and she didn't deserve this. The maids were easier. Pretty girls, sisters from Oldshire. Mother did them in herself. I never even learned their names. My knees hit the ground, heavily, but I barely feel it. They didn't know anything. But my begging is no use now. "Lucas will go as well," he says, smirking with teeth bright in the darkness. "You'll get to see that for yourself." I feel like retching. "You told me he was safe with his family." He laughs long and hard. "When are you going to realize that every word out of my mouth was a lie? We forced him, Julian and I. He did nothing wrong. Begging feels so awful, but it's all I can think to do. He's of House Samos, you can't kill one of them." "Mare, haven't you been paying attention? I can do anything," he growls. "It's a pity we couldn't get Julian back here in time. I would have liked to make him watch you die." I do my best to choke back a sob, pressing a hand to my mouth. Next to me, Cal growls deep in his throat, thinking of his uncle. "You found him?" "Of course we did. We captured Julian and Sarah both." Maven laughs. "I'll settle for killing Skonos first, finishing the job my mother began. You know the story there now, don't you, Cal? You know what my mother did, whispering her way into Corian's head, making her brain crawl." He draws closer, eyes wild and frightening. "Sarah knew. And your father, even you, refused to believe her. You let my mother win, and you've done it again." Cal doesn't respond, resting his head against the bars. Satisfied he's destroyed his brother, Maven turns on me, pacing just beyond my cell. "I'll make the others scream for you, Mare, every last one. Not just your parents, not just your siblings, but every single one like you. I'm going to find them, and they will die with you in their thoughts, knowing this is the fate you have brought them. I am the king, and you could have been my Red Queen. Now you are nothing." I don't bother to brush away the tears coursing down my cheeks. It's no use anymore. Maven enjoys the sight of me broken and sucks on his teeth like he wants to taste me. Goodbye, Maven. I wish there was more I could say, but there are no words for his evil. He knows what he is, and worst of all, he likes it. He dips his head, almost bowing to the pair of us. Cal doesn't bother to look and grips the bars instead, wearing at the metal like it's Maven's neck. Goodbye, Mare. The smirk is gone, and to my surprise, his eyes look wet. He hesitates, not wanting to go. It's like he suddenly understood what he's done and what's about to happen to all of us. I told you to hide your heart once. You should have listened. How dare he? I have 3 older brothers, so when I spit at Maven, my aim is perfect, hitting him square in the eye. He turns quickly, almost running from the pair of us. Cal stares after him for a long time, unable to speak. I can only sit down, letting my rage seep away again. When Cal settles back against me, there are no more words left to say. Many things led to this day, for all of us. A forgotten son, a vengeful mother, a brother with a long shadow, a strange mutation. Together, they've written a tragedy. In the stories, the old fairy tales, a hero comes, but all my heroes are gone or dead. No one is coming for me. It must be the next morning when the sentinels arrive, led by Arvin himself. With the suffocating walls, his presence makes it difficult to stand, but they force me up. Sentinel Provost, Sentinel Viper. Cal nods at the sentinels when they open his cell. They pull him roughly to his feet. Even now, facing death, Cal is calm. He greets every guard we pass, addressing them by name. They stare back, angry or bewildered, or both. A king killer should not be so kind. The soldiers are even worse. He wants to stop to say goodbye to them properly, but his own men grow hard and cold at the sight of him. And I think that hurts him almost as much as everything else. After a while, he goes quiet, losing the last bit of will he has left. As we climb out of the darkness, the noise of a crowd grows steadily nearer. Faint at first, but then a dull roar right above us. The arena is full, and they're ready for a show. This started when I fell into the spiral garden, a body made of sparks, and now it ends at the bowl of bones. I'll leave as a corpse. Arena attendants, all dull-eyed silvers, descend on us like a flock of pigeons. They pull me behind a curtain, preparing me for what's to come with brisk movements and hard hands. I barely feel them, pushing and pulling, shoving me into a cheaper version of a training suit. This is meant to be an insult, making me wear something so simple to die in, but I prefer the scratch of fabric to the whisper of silk. I think dimly of my maids. They painted me every day. They knew I had something to hide, and they died for it. No one paints me now, or even bothers to brush away the dirt from a night spent in a cell. More pageantry. Once I wore silk and jewels and pretty smiles, but that doesn't fit Maven's lie. A red girl in rags is easier for them to understand, and to kill. When they pull me back out again, I can see they've done the same for Cal. There will be no medals, no armor for him. But he has his flame maker bracelet again. The fire burns still, smoldering in the broken soldier. He has resigned himself to die, but not before taking someone with him. We hold each other's gaze, simply because there's nowhere else to look. What are we walking into? Cal finally says, tearing his eyes away from mine to face Arvin. The old man, white as paper, looks back on his former students without a flicker of remorse. What did they promise him for his help? But I can already see. The badge over his heart, the crown made of jet, diamond, and ruby, was Cal's once. I don't doubt he was given much more. You were a prince and a general. In his wisdom, the merciful king has decided you are to at least die with glory. He smiles as he speaks, showing sharp little teeth, rat's teeth. A good death, the kind a traitor doesn't deserve. As for the red girl, the trickster, he turns his fearsome gaze on me, focusing harder. The stifling weight of his power threatens to drag me down. She will have no weapons at all, and die like the devil she is. I open my mouth to protest, but Arvin leers over me, his breath reeking of poison. King's orders. No weapons. I feel like screaming. No lightning. Arvin won't let me go, even to die. Maven's words echo sharply in my head. Now you are nothing. I'll die as nothing. They don't need to hide my blood if they can claim my powers were faked somehow. Down in the cells, I was almost eager to step out onto the sand, to send my sparks into the sky and my blood into the earth. Now I shake and shiver, wanting to run away. But my wretched pride, the only thing I have left, won't even allow that. Cal takes my hand. He quivers like I do, afraid to die. At least he'll have a chance to fight. I'll protect you as long as I can, he whispers. I almost don't hear him over the tramp of feet and the pathetic beat of my heart. I don't deserve it, I mutter back, but I squeeze his hand in thanks all the same. I betrayed him, I ruined his life, and this is how he repays me. The next room is the last. It's a sloping passage, leading up a gentle incline to a steel gate. Sunlight dances through, bleeding down to us along with all the noise of a full arena. The walls distort the sounds, transforming cheers and shouts into the howls of a nightmare. I suppose that's not far from the truth. As we enter, I see we're not the only ones waiting to die. Lucas! A guard holds his arm, but Lucas still manages to glance over his shoulder. His face is full of bruises, and he looks paler than before, like he hasn't seen the sun in days. It's probably true. Mayor. Just the way he says my name makes me cringe. He's another one I've betrayed, using him like I used Cal, Julian, the Colonel, like I tried to use Maven. I was wondering when I'd see you again. I'm so sorry. I go to my grave apologizing, and it still won't be enough. They told me you were with your family, that you were safe, or else... Or else what? He asks slowly. I'm nothing to you, just something to be used and cast aside. The accusation cuts like a knife. I'm sorry, but it had to be done. The Queen made me remember. Maid, there's pain in his voice. Don't apologize, because you don't mean it. I want to embrace him, to show this was not what I wanted. I do. I swear, Lucas. His Majesty, Maven of House Calor and House Mirandus, the King of Norta, Flame of the North. The cry rings out in the arena, echoing down to us through the gate. The accompanying cheers make me cringe, and Lucas flinches. His end is near. Would you do it again? The words sting sharply. Would you risk me for your terrorist friends again? I would. I don't say it out loud, but Lucas sees my answer in my eyes. I kept your secret. It's worse than any insult he could throw at me. The knowledge that he protected me, even though I didn't deserve it, gnaws at my core. But now I know. You're not different. Not anymore. He continues, almost spitting. You're the same as all the rest. Heartless, selfish, cold. Just like us. They taught you well. Then he turns, facing the gate again. He wants no more words from me. I want to go to him to try and explain, but a guard holds me back. There's nothing more for me to do but stand tall and wait for our doom. My citizens! Maven's voice filters through the gate with the daylight. He sounds like his father, like Cal, but there's something sharper in his voice. He's only 17 and already a monster. My people! My children! Cal scoffs next to me, but out in the arena, a dead, haunting silence settles. He has them in the palm of his hand. Some would call this a cruelty, Maven continues. I don't doubt he memorized a stirring speech, probably written by his witch of a mother. My father's body is barely cold. His blood still stains the floor, and I have been forced to take his place, to begin my reign in such a violent shadow. We have not executed our own for 10 years, and it pains me to begin that awful tradition again. But for my father, for my crown, for you, I must. I am young, but I am not weak. Such crimes, such evil, will be punished. Up above us, high in the arena, jeers ring out, cheering for death. Lucas of House Samos, for crimes against the crown, for collusion with the terrorist organization known as the Scarlet Guard, I declare you guilty. I sentence you to die. Submit to execution. And then Lucas is walking up the incline to his own death. He doesn't spare a glance for me, not that I deserve one. He's dying, not just because of what we made him do, but for what I am. Like the others, he knew there was something strange about me, and like the others, he will die. When he disappears through the far gate, I have to turn away and stare at the wall. The gunshots are hard to ignore. The crowd roars, pleased by the violent display. Lucas was only the beginning, the opening act. We are the show. Walk, Arvin says, prodding us on. He follows as we begin the slow climb. I cannot let go of Cal's hand in case I stumble. Every muscle in him tenses, ready for the fight of his life. I reach out for my lightning in one last attempt, but nothing comes. There's not even a tremor left in me. Arvin and Maven have taken it away. Through the gate, I watch Lucas's body be dragged away, leaving a streak of silver blood across the sand. A wave of sickness passes over me, and I have to bite my lip. With a great groan, the steel gate shudders and rises up. The sunlight blinds me for a second, freezing me to the spot, but Cal pulls me forward into the arena. White sand, fine as powder, slides beneath my feet. As my eyes adjust, I almost forget to breathe. The arena is enormous, a wide gray mouth of steel and stonework, filled with thousands of angry faces. They stare down on us in deafening silence, pouring their hate into my skin. I can't see any reds at all, but I don't expect to. This is what the Silvers call entertainment, another play for them to laugh at, and they won't share it. Video screens dot the arena, reflecting my own face back at me. Of course they must record this, to broadcast it across the nation, to show the world another red brought so low. The sight gives me pause. I look like myself again. Ratty, tangled hair, simple clothing, dirt falling off me in little clouds. My skin blushes with the blood I've tried so long to hide. If death weren't waiting for me, I would probably smile. To my surprise, the screens flicker, switching from the image of Cal and me to something grainy. Security footage, from all the cameras, all the electric eyes. With a shaky breath, I realize exactly how deep Maven's plan really went. The screens play it all back, every stolen moment. Sneaking out of the hall with Cal, dancing together, our whispered conversations, our kiss. And then, the king's murder in its full, terrible glory. Taken together as one, it's not hard to believe Maven's story. All of it connects together. The tale of the Red Devil, who seduced a prince, who made him kill a king. The crowd gasps and murmurs, eating up the perfect lie. Even my own parents would have a hard time denying this. Mayor Molly Barrow. Maven's voice booms out behind me, and we spin to see the royal fool staring down at us. His own box of seats drips with black and red flags, filled to the brim with lords and ladies I recognize. They all wear black, forgetting their house colors in honor of a murdered king. Sonia, Elaine, and all the other High House children stared down on me with disgust. Lord Samos stands on Maven's left, with the Queen on his right. Ilara hides behind a mourning veil, probably to mask her wicked smile. I expect Evangeline to be hovering nearby, content to marry the next king. After all, she only wanted the crown, but she's nowhere to be seen. Maven himself looks like a dark ghost, his pale skin sharp against the black gleam of dress armor. He even wears the sword they killed the king with, and his father's crown nestles against his hair, gleaming in the sun. Once, we believed you to be the lost Marina Titanos, another murdered citizen of my crown. With the help of your red brethren, you deceived us with technological tricks and ruses, infiltrating my own family. Technological tricks? The screen shows me back in the spiral garden, rippling with electricity. In the footage, it seems unnatural. We gave you an education, status, power, strength, and even our love. For that, you repaid us with treachery, turning my own brother against his blood with your deceit. We know now that you are an operative of the defeated Scarlet Guard, and are directly responsible for the loss of countless lives. The images flicker to the night of the sun shooting, to the ballroom full of blood and death. Farley's flag, the fluttering red rag, and the torn sun stands out against the chaos. Together with my brother, Prince Tiberius VII, of House Kalor and House Jacos, you are accused of many violent and deplorable offenses against the crown, including deception, treason, terrorism, and murder. Your hands are no cleaner than mine, Maven. You killed the king, my father, bewitching his own son to do the deed. You are a red devil. He sweeps his eyes to Cal, now almost igniting in anger. And you are a weak man, a traitor to your crown, your blood, and your colors. The death of the king plays again, cementing Maven's twisted words. I pronounce you both guilty of your crimes. Submit to execution. A great jeer goes up over the arena. It sounds like pigs, screaming, howling for blood. The video screens flip back to Cal and me, expecting us to weep or plead for our lives. Neither of us moves an inch. They will not get that from us. Maven stares over the side of his box, leering, waiting for one of us to snap. Instead, Cal salutes, 2 fingers to his brow. It's better than punching Maven in the face, and he draws back, disappointed. He looks away from us, to the far side of the arena. When I turn, I expect to see the gunmen who killed Lucas, but I'm greeted by a very different sight. I don't know where they came from, or when, but 5 figures appear in the dust. That's not too bad, I murmur, squeezing Cal's hand. He's a warrior, a soldier. 5-on-1 might even be fair for him. But Cal furrows his brow, his attention on our executioners. They come into sharper focus, and fear rolls through me. I know their names and abilities, some much better than others. All of them ripple with strength, in armor and uniforms meant for war. A strong-arm Rhombos to tear me apart, the Haven Son, who will disappear and choke me like a shadowed ghost, and Lord Osanos himself, to drown Cal's fire. Arvin, as well, I remind myself. He stands at the gate, his eyes never leaving my body. Don't forget the other 2, the magnetrons. It's almost poetic, really. In matching armor, with matching scowls, Evangeline and Ptolemus stare us down, their fists bristling with long, cruel knives. Somewhere in my head, a clock ticks, counting down. Not much time left. Above us, Maven's voice croaks out, "Let them die!" 28. The shield explodes to life above us, a giant purple dome of veined glass, like the one in the spiral garden. Not to protect us, but to protect the crowd. Sparks of lightning pulse through the monstrous ceiling, teasing me. Without Arvin, the lightning would be mine, and I could fight. I could show this world who I am. But that is not to be. Cal shifts, putting out his arm. The air ripples around him, distorted by the waves of heat rolling off his body. He angles himself toward the others, protecting me. "Stay behind me as long as you can," he says, letting his own heat push me back. The flame-maker sparks, and fire crackles between his fingers, growing up his arms. Something in his shirt keeps it from burning, and the fabric doesn't smoke away. "When they break through the wall, you'll have to run. Evangeline's weakest, but the strong arm's slow. You can outrun him. They'll try to drag this out, to make it a show." Then softly, "They won't let us die quickly. What about you? Osanos will—" "Let me worry about Osanos." The executioners move steadily, like wolves stalking prey. They spread out across the middle of the arena, each one ready to advance. Somewhere, metal scrapes, and a piece of the arena floor slides away, revealing a sloshing pool of water at Lord Osanos' feet. He smiles, drawing the water up to him in a menacing shield. I remember his daughter Tirana, dueling Maven in training. She destroyed him. All around, the crowd jeers. Ptolemus roars with them, letting his famed temper take over. He smacks at his armor, ringing it like a bell. At his side, Evangeline spins her knives, sliding them over her knuckles with a grin. "This won't be like before, Red," she crows. "No tricks can save you now." Tricks? Evangeline knows my abilities better than most. She knows they weren't tricks. But she believes. She ignores the truth for something easier to understand. The Haven son, Australian, grins to himself. Like his sister, Elaine, he is a shadow. When he flickers out of being, disappearing in the bright sunlight, Cal moves faster than I thought possible, swinging out his arm in a wide arc, like he's throwing a haymaker punch. A roar of flame follows his arm, burning up the sand, separating us from them. But the fire is surprisingly weak. The sand will barely burn. I can't stop myself from glancing back at Maven, wanting to scream at him, only to find he's still staring at me with that insufferable crooked smirk. Not only has he taken away my abilities, but he's limiting Cal as much as he can. Bastard, I curse under my breath. The sand, I know. Cal snaps, igniting more bits of the ground with a wave of his hand. Directly across from us, the line of flame separates for a second, followed closely by a bitter scream of pain. On the other side of the dying fire, Australian fades back into sight, batting flames from his arms. Osanos douses him with a lazy gesture, putting out the fire with a wave of water. Then he turns his startling blue eyes on us, on Cal's wall, and in a single motion draws water across the weak fire like a lapping wave. The water hisses and spits, flash boiling into thick clouds of steam. Trapped by the glass dome, the steam settles through the arena, shrouding us in a ghostly white fog. It swirls and spins, enveloping us in a white world where every shadow could be our doom. "Be ready," Cal shouts, a hand reaching for me, but Ptolemus charges out of the steam in a roar of flesh and steel. He hits Cal around the middle, knocking him to the ground, but Cal doesn't stay down long enough for Ptolemus to stab out with his knives. The blades dig into the ground seconds after Cal leaps, his hands on Ptolemus's armor. The steel melts beneath his touch, drawing a scream from the berserker. I can only run as Cal tries to cook a man in his own armor. "I don't want to kill you, Ptolemus," Cal says through the screams of pain. Every knife, every shard of metal Ptolemus raises to stab Cal melts away from his intense heat. "I don't want to do this." 3 sparkling blades cut through the steam, barely flashing blurs, too fast to melt in midair. They hit Cal's back, stinging through his shirt before melting away. He yells in pain, losing focus for a second as 3 spots of silver blood stain his shirt. The knives were too small to cut deep, but they weaken him still. Ptolemus takes his chance, and in the blink of an eye, his knives meld into a single monstrous sword. He slashes, meaning to slice Cal in 2, but he dodges in time, earning a scratch across the belly. Still alive, but not for long. Evangeline appears through the steam, knives swirling around in a glinting display. Cal dips and dodges her blades, throwing blasts of fire to knock her off course. He duels them both, hitting an insane rhythm that allows him to fight off 2 magnetrons despite their strength and power. But blood stains his clothes, and new wounds appear with every passing second. Ptolemus's weapon shifts, from a sword to an axe to a razor-thin metal whip, while Evangeline's jagged stars keep biting. They're wearing him down, slowly but surely. My lightning, I think mournfully, looking back to Arvin at our gate. He's still there, a black presence to haunt me. A gun hangs at his waist. I can't even try to fight him. I can't do anything. When a massive chunk of concrete sails out of the steam, heading directly for me, I barely have time to dodge. It shatters against the sand where I stood seconds ago, but before I have time to think, another comes hunting, howling through the air. The sky is raining concrete down on me. Like Cal, I find my rhythm, scurrying through the sand like a rat, until something stops me short. A hand, an invisible hand. Strelian's grip closes on my throat, choking me. I can hear him breathing in my ear, though I can't see him. Red and dead, he growls, tightening his hand. My arm swings out, digging an elbow into what I suppose are his ribs, but he holds firm. I can't breathe, and black spots dot my vision, threatening to spread, but I keep fighting. Through the haze, I can see the Rombo's strong arm prowling, his eyes locked on me. He'll pull me apart. Cal still fights the Samos siblings, doing his best not to get stabbed. I can't scream for him even if I wanted to, but somehow he manages to throw a fireball my way. Rombos has to jump back, stumbling on his massive feet, buying me a few more seconds. Gasping, choking, I dig my nails back, reaching for a head I cannot see. It's a miracle when I feel his face and then his eyes. With a gasping scream, I dig in, thumbs to his eye sockets, blinding him. Strelian roars, letting go of me. He falls to his knees, flickering back into being. Silver blood trails from his eyes like mirrored tears. "You were supposed to be mine!" a voice screams, and I turn to see Evangeline standing over Cal, her blade raised. Ptolemus has wrestled Cal to the ground, the 2 of them rolling through the sand with Evangeline haunting over them, her knives peppering the ground around him. "Mine!" It doesn't occur to me that running headfirst into a magnetron might not be a good idea until I collide into her. We fall together, my face scraping along her armor. It smarts and stings and bleeds, dripping red for all to see. Though I can't see the screens, I know every one broadcasts the image of my blood through the country. Evangeline shrieks, lashing out with her dancing blades. Behind us, Cal fights to his feet, blasting Ptolemus away with a blaze of fire. The magnetron collides with his sister, knocking her away seconds before her knives slice through me. "Duck!" Cal shouts, throwing me to the sand as another slab of concrete flies over us, shattering against the far wall. We can't keep this up. I've got an idea. Cal spits at the sand, and I think I see a few teeth mixed in with the blood. Good, because I ran out of them 5 minutes ago. Another block sails by, forcing us to jump apart, and just in time. Evangeline and Ptolemus return with a vengeance, locking Cal into a chaotic dance of knives and shrapnel. Their powers shake the arena around us, calling up more metal from down deep. Forcing Cal to watch his footing along with everything else, shards of pipes and wires poke up through the sand, creating a deadly obstacle course of metal. One of them stabs Strelian where he kneels, still screaming over his eyes. The pipe goes straight through him, popping out through his mouth to silence his cries for good. Through the wreckage, I hear the arena crowd scream and gasp at the sight. For all their violent ways, all their power, they're still cowards. My feet pound through the sand as I circle Rhombos, daring him to attack me. Cal's right. I'm faster. And though Rhombos is a monster of muscle, he trips over his own feet trying to chase me. He rips the jagged pipes from the ground, throwing them at me like spears, but they're easy to dodge, and he roars in frustration. I'm red, I'm nothing, and I can still make you fall. The sound of rushing water brings me back, making me remember the fifth executioner, the nymph. I turn just in time to see Lord Osanos part the steam like a curtain, clearing the arena floor. And 10 yards away, still dueling hard, is Cal. Smoke and fire explode from him, beating back the magnetrons. But as Osanos advances, the water trailing in a swirling cloak, Cal's flames recede. Here is the true executioner. Here is the end of the show. Cal! I scream. But there's nothing I can do for him. Nothing. Another pipe sails past my cheek, so close I feel the cold sting, so close it makes me spin and fall. The gate is only yards away, with Arvin still standing in its mouth, half shrouded by darkness. Cal sends a blast of fire at Osanos, but there's nothing I can do for him. Nothing. Another pipe sails past my cheek, so close I feel the cold sting, so close it makes me spin and fall. The gate is only yards away, with Arvin still standing in its mouth, half shrouded by darkness. Cal sends a blast of fire at Osanos, but he smothers it quickly. Steam screams from the clash of water and fire, but water is winning. Rhombos advances, pushing me back toward the gate. Cornered. I let him corner me. Rocks and metal break against the wall behind me, enough to shatter my bones. Lightning, my head screams. Lightning! But there's nothing, just the dark smother of dead senses, suffocating me. All around us, the crowd jumps to their feet, sensing the end. I can hear Maven above me, cheering with all the rest. Finish them off, he yells. It still surprises me to hear such malice in his voice. But when I look up, his eyes meeting mine through the shield and steam, there's nothing but anger and rage and evil. Rhombos takes aim, a long, jagged pipe in hand. Death has come. Over the din, I hear a roar of triumph. Ptolemus. He and Evangeline step back from a swirling orb of water, and the cloudy figure deep within. Cal. The water boils, and his body strains, trying to break free, but it's no use. He's going to drown. Behind me, almost in my ear, Arvin laughs to himself. Who has the advantage? He sneers to himself, repeating his words from training. My muscles ache and twitch, begging for it to be over. I just want to lie down, to admit defeat, to die. They called me a liar, a trickster, and they were right. I have one more trick left up my sleeve. Rhombos takes aim, setting his feet in the sand, and I know what I must do. He hurls his spear with such strength, it seems to burn the air. I drop, throwing myself to the sand. A sickening squelch tells me my plan has worked, and the scream of electricity surging back to life tells me I might win. Behind me, Arvin collapses, a pipe speared through his middle. I have the advantage, I tell his corpse. When I get back to my feet, thunder and lightning and sparks and shocks and everything I can possibly control spits from my body. The crowd screams aloud, Maven above them all. Kill her! Kill her! He roars, pointing down at me through the dome. Shoot her! Bullets dig into the dome, sparking and splintering against the electric shield, but it holds firm. It was supposed to protect them, but it is electric. It is lightning. It is mine, and the shield protects me now. The crowd gasps, not believing their eyes. Red blood drips from my wounds, and lightning trembles in my skin, declaring what I am for everyone. Overhead, the video screens go dark, but I've already been seen. They can't stop what's already happened. Rhombos takes a quivering step back, his breath catching in his throat. I don't give him a chance to take another. Silver and red, and stronger than both. My lightning streaks through him, boiling his blood, frying his nerves, until he collapses in a twitching pile of meat. Osanos drops next as my sparks run over him. The liquid orb splashes to the ground, and Cal collapses to the sand, spitting up water with hacking coughs. Despite the jagged metal spikes punching up through the sand, trying to run me through, I break into a sprint, dodging and vaulting over every obstacle. They trained me for this. It's their own fault. They helped make their own doom. Evangeline waves a hand, sending a steel beam flying at my head. I slide beneath it, knees skimming across the ground, before coming up beside her, daggered bolts of lightning in my hands. She calls up a sword from the swirling metal, forging a blade. My lightning breaks against it, shocking through the iron, but still she duels. The metal shifts and splits all around us, trying to fight me. Even her spiders return to tear me down, but they aren't enough. She isn't enough. Another blast of lightning knocks her blades away and sends her sprawling, trying to escape my wrath. She won't. Not a trick, she breathes, taken off guard. Her eyes fly between my hands as she backs away, bits of metal floating between us in a hasty shield. Not a lie. I can taste red blood in my mouth, sharp and metallic and strangely wonderful. I spit it out for all to see. Overhead, the blue sky darkens through the shielded dome. Black clouds gather, heavy and full with rain. The storm is coming. You said you'd kill me if I ever got in your way. It feels so good to throw her words back in her face. Here's your chance. Her chest rises and falls, heaving with each breath. She's tired. She's wounded, and the steel behind her eyes is almost gone, giving way to fear. She lunges, and I move to block her attack, but it never comes. Instead, she runs. She runs from me, sprinting at the closest gate she can find. I pound after her, running to hunt her down, but Cal's roar of frustration stops me in my tracks. Osanos is on his feet again, dueling with renewed strength. Cal is no good against nymphs, not with his fire. I remember how easily bested Maven was in his own training so long ago. My hand closes around the nymph's wrist, shocking him through his skin, forcing him to turn his anger on me. The water feels like a hammer, knocking me backward into the sand. It crashes and crashes, making it impossible to breathe. For the first time since I entered the arena, the cold hand of fear clenches around my heart. Now that we have a chance of winning, of living, I'm so afraid to lose. My lungs scream for air, and I can't help but open my mouth, letting the water choke me. It stings like fire, like death. The tiniest spark runs through me, and it's enough, shocking through the water and up into Osanos. He yelps, jumping back long enough to let me scramble free, slipping through the wet sand. Air sears my lungs as I gasp for breath, but there's no time to enjoy it. Osanos is on me again. This time his hands are around my neck, holding me under the swirling foot of water. But I'm ready for him. The fool is stupid enough to touch me, to put his skin against mine. When I let the lightning go, shocking through flesh and water, he screams like a boiling tea kettle and flops backward. As the water falls away, draining into the sand, I know he's truly dead. When I rise, soaking wet, shaking with adrenaline, fear, strength, my eyes fly to Cal. He's slashed and bruised, bleeding all over, but his arms rage with bright red fire, and Ptolemus cowers at his feet. He raises his hands in defeat, begging for mercy. Kill him, Cal, I snarl, wanting to see him bleed. Above us, the lightning shield pulses again, surging with my anger. If only it was Evangeline, if only I could do it myself. He tried to kill us. Kill him. Cal doesn't move, breathing hard through his teeth. He looks so torn, eager for vengeance, consumed by the thrill of battle, but also steadily fading back to the calm, thoughtful man he used to be, the man he can't be anymore. But a man's nature is not so easily changed. He steps back, flames fading away. I won't. The silence presses down, a wonderful change from the screaming, jeering crowd who wanted us dead moments ago. But when I look up, I realize they aren't staring. They aren't seeing Cal's mercy or my ability. They aren't even there at all. The great arena has emptied, leaving no witnesses to our victory. The king sent them away, to hide the truth of what we have done, so he can supplant it with his own lies. From his box, Maven begins to clap. Well done, he shouts, moving to the edge of the arena. He peers at us through the shield, his mother close at his shoulder. The sound hurts more than any knife, making me cringe. It echoes over the empty structure, until marching feet, boots on stone and sand, drown him out. Security, sentinels, soldiers, all of them pour onto the sand from every gate. There are hundreds, thousands, too many to fight, too many to run from. We won the battle, but we lost the war. Ptolemus scrambles away, disappearing into the crowd of soldiers. Now we're alone, in a steadily closing circle, with nothing and no one left. It's not fair. We won. We showed them. It's not fair. I want to scream, to shock and rage and fight, but the bullets will get me first. Hot tears of anger well in my eyes, but I will not cry, not in these last moments. I'm sorry I did this to you, I whisper to Cal. No matter how I feel about his beliefs, he's the one truly losing here. I knew the risks, but he was just a pawn, torn between so many playing an invisible game. He clenches his jaw, twisting and turning as he looks for some way out of this, but there isn't one. I don't expect him to forgive me, and I don't deserve it either, but his hand closes over mine, holding on to the last person on his side. Slowly, he starts to hum. I recognize the tune as the sad song, the one we kissed to, in a room full of moonlight. Thunder rumbles in the clouds, threatening to burst. Raindrops pitter on the dome above us. It shocks and sizzles, the rain, but the water keeps coming in a steady downpour. Even the sky weeps for our loss. At the edge of his box, Maven stares down at us. The sparking shield distorts his face, making him look like the monster he truly is. Water drips down his nose, but he doesn't notice. His mother whispers something in his ear, and he jolts, brought back to reality. Goodbye, little lightning girl. When he raises his hand, I think he might be shaking. Like the little girl I am, I squeeze my eyes shut, expecting to feel the blinding pain of 100 bullets ripping me apart. My thoughts turn inward, to days long past, to Killorn, my parents, my brothers, my sister. Will I see them all soon? My heart tells me yes, they're waiting for me, somewhere, somehow. And like I did that day in the spiral garden, when I thought I was falling to my death, I feel cold acceptance. I will die. I feel life leaving, and I let go. The storm overhead explodes with a deafening clap of thunder, so strong it shakes the air. The ground rumbles beneath my feet, and even behind closed eyelids, I see the blinding flash of light, purple and white and strong, the strongest thing I've ever felt. Weakly, I wonder what will happen if it hits me. Will I die, or will I survive? Will it forge me like a sword into something terrible and sharp and new? I never find out. Cal seizes me by the shoulders, throwing us both out of the way as a giant bolt of lightning streaks down out of the sky. It shatters through the shield, sending purple shards down on us like falling snow. It sizzles against my skin in a delightful sensation, an invigorating pulse of power to bring me back to life. All around us, the gunmen cower, ducking or running away, trying to escape the sparking storm. Cal tries to drag me, but I'm barely aware of him. Instead, my senses buzz with the storm, feeling it churning above me. It's mine. Another bolt strikes down, pounding into the sand, and the security officers scatter, running for the gates. But the sentinels and the soldiers are not so easily frightened, and they come to their senses quickly. Even though Cal pulls me back, trying to save us both, they pursue, and there is no escape. As good as the storm feels, it drains me, leeching my energy away. Controlling a lightning storm is just too much. My knees buckle, and my heart beats like a drum, so fast I think it might burst. One more bolt, one more, we might have a chance. When my feet stumble backward, heels jutting out over the empty chasm that once held Osanos's water weapon, I know it's over. There's nowhere else to run. Cal holds me tight, pulling me back from the edge in case I might fall. There's nothing but blackness down there, and the echo of churning water deep down. Nothing but pipes and plumbing and black nothing. And ahead of us, the practiced brutal ranks of soldiers. They take aim mechanically, raising their guns in unison. The shield is broken, the storm is dying, and we have lost. Maven can smell my defeat, and grins from his box, his lips pulled into a terrifying smile. Even from such a distance, I can see the glinting points of his crown. Rainwater runs into his eyes, but he doesn't blink. He doesn't want to miss my death. The guns rise, and this time they won't wait for Maven's order. The shooting thunders like my storm, ringing out across the empty arena. But I feel nothing. When the first line of gunmen falls, their chests peppered with bullet holes, I don't understand. I blink down at my feet, only to see a line of strange guns poking out over the edge of the chasm. Each barrel smokes and jumps, still shooting, mowing down all the soldiers in front of us. Before I can understand, someone grabs the back of my shirt and pulls me down to fall through the black air. We land in water far below, but the arms never let go. The water takes me down into darkness. Epilogue. The black void of sleep ebbs away, giving way to life again. My body rocks with motion, and I can sense an engine somewhere. Metal shrieks against metal, scraping at high speed in a noise I vaguely recognize. The undertrain. The seat beneath my cheek feels oddly soft, but also tense. Not leather or cloth or concrete, I realize, but warm flesh. It shifts beneath me, adjusting as I move, and my eyes open. What I see is enough to make me think I'm still dreaming. Cal sits across the train, his posture stiff and tense, fists clenched in his lap. He stares straight ahead, to the person cradling me, and in his eyes is the fire I know so well. The train fascinates him, and his gaze flickers now and then, glancing at the lights and the windows and the wires. He's itching to examine it, but the person at his side keeps him from moving at all. Farley. The revolutionary, all scars and tension, stands over him. Somehow she survived the slaughter under the square. I want to smile, to call out to her, but weakness bleeds through me, keeping me still. I remember the storm, the battle of the arena, and all the horrors that came before. Maven. His name makes my heart clench, twisting in anguish and shame. Anyone can betray anyone. Her gun hangs across her chest, ready to fire on Cal. There are more like her, tensely guarding him. They are broken, wounded, and so few. but they still look menacing. Their eyes never stray from the fallen prince, watching him as a mouse would a cat. And then I see his wrists are bound, shackled in iron that he could easily melt away. But he doesn't. He just sits there quietly, waiting for something. When he feels my gaze, his eyes snap to mine. Life sparks in him again. "Mare," he murmurs, and some of the hot anger breaks. Some. My head spins when I try to sit up, but a comforting hand pushes me back down again. "Lie still," a voice says, a voice I vaguely recognize. "Killorn," I mumble. "I'm here." To my confusion, the old fisher boy pushes his way through the guardsmen behind Farley. He has scars of his own now, with dirty bandages on his arm, but he stands tall, and he is alive. Just the sight of him sends a flood of relief through me. But if Killorn is standing there, with the rest of the guard, then my neck turns sharply, moving to look up at the person above me. Who? The face is familiar, a face I know so well. If I were not already lying down, I would certainly fall. The shock is too much for me to bear. Am I dead? Are we dead? He's come to take me away. I died in the arena. This was a hallucination, a dream, a wish, a last thought before dying. We are all dead. But my brother shakes his head slowly, staring at me with familiar honey-colored eyes. Shade was always the handsome one, and death has not changed that. "You're not dead, Mare," he says. His voice is smooth as I remember. "Neither am I." "How?" is all I can manage, sitting back to examine my brother fully. He looks the same as I remember, without the usual scars of a soldier. Even his brown hair is growing out again, shaking off the military cut. I run my fingers through it to convince myself he's real. But he is not the same, just like you are not the same. "The mutation," I say, letting my hand graze his arm. "They killed you for it." His eyes seem to dance. "They tried." I don't blink. Time doesn't pass, but he's moved at a speed beyond my sight, beyond even that of a swift. Now he sits across from me, next to the still shackled Cal. It's like he's shifting through space, jumping from one spot to another in no time at all. "And failed," he finishes from his new seat. His grin is wide now, pleasantly amused by my open-mouthed stare. "They said they killed me. They told the captains I was dead, and my body burned." Another split second, and he's sitting next to me again, appearing out of thin air, teleporting. "But they weren't fast enough." "No one is." I try to nod. I try to understand his ability, his simple existence, but I can't comprehend much more than the circle of his arms around me. Shade. Alive and like me. What about the others? Mom, Dad? But Shade stills me with a smile. "They're safe and waiting," he says. His voice breaks a little, overcome with emotion. "We'll see them soon." My heart swells at the thought. But like all my happiness, all my joy, and all my hope, it doesn't last long. My eyes fall on the guard, bristling with weapons, on Killorn's scars, on Farley's tense face, and Cal's bound hands. Cal, who has suffered so much, escaping one prison for another. Let him go. I owe him my life, more than my life. Surely I can give him some comfort here. But no one budges at my words, not even Cal. To my surprise, he answers before Farley. "They won't, and they shouldn't. In fact, you should probably blindfold me, if you really want to be thorough." Even though he's been cast down, thrown out of his own life, Cal can't change who he is. The soldier is in him still. "Cal, shut up. You're not a danger to anyone." With a scoff, Cal tips his head, gesturing at the train of armed rebels. "They seem to think otherwise." "Not to us, I mean," I add, shrinking back against my seat. "He saved me up there even after what I did, And after what Maven did to you, don't say his name. His growl is frightful, putting a chill in me, and I don't miss Farley's hand tightening around her gun. Her words slide out between clenched teeth. No matter what he did for you, the prince is not on our side, and I won't risk what's left of us for your little romance. Romance. We flinch at the word. There is no such thing between us anymore. Not after what we did to each other, and what was done to us. No matter how much we might want there to be. We're going to keep fighting, Mare, but Silvers have betrayed us before. We won't trust them again. Killorn's words are softer, a balm to try to help me understand, but his eyes spark at Cal. Obviously, he remembers the torture down in the cells, and the terrible sight of frozen blood. He might be a valuable prisoner. They don't know Cal like I do. They don't know he could destroy them all, that he could escape in a heartbeat if he really wanted. So why does he stay? When he meets my eyes, somehow he answers my question without speaking. The hurt I see radiating from him is enough to break my heart. He is tired, he is broken, and he doesn't want to fight anymore. Part of me doesn't either. Part of me wishes I could submit to chains, to captivity, and silence. But I have lived that life already. In the mud, in the shadows, in a cell, in a silk dress. I will never submit again. I will never stop fighting. Neither will Killorn. Neither will Farley. We will never stop. The others like us. My voice shakes, but I've never felt so strong. The others like me and Shade. Farley nods and pats a hand to her pocket. I still have the list. I know the names. And so does Maven, I reply smoothly. Cal twitches at the name. He'll use the blood base to trace them and hunt them down. Even though the train sways and shakes, twisting over dark tracks, I force myself to my feet. Shade tries to steady me, but I brush his hand away. I must stand on my own. He can't find them before we do. I raise my chin, feeling the pulse of the train. It electrifies me. He can't. When Killorn steps toward me, his face set and determined, his bruises and scars and bandages seem to fade. I think I see the dawn in his eyes. He won't. A strange warmth falls over me, a warmth like the sun, though we are deep underground. It's as familiar to me as my own lightning, reaching out to envelop me in an embrace we can't have. Even though they call Cal my enemy, even though they fear him, I let his warmth fall on my skin, and I let his eyes burn into mine. Our shared memories flash before me, parading every second of our time together. But now our friendship is gone, replaced by the one thing we still have in common, our hatred for Maven. I don't need to be a whisper to know we share a thought. I will kill him.